Okay, this is video number 2 of my little demo series. Probably know this by now, these little opening screens are extremely basic and extremely boring. We really didn't have time for doing anything more than that. So, because if you watched my last video, you would know the basic gist of this. These are basically little demos that we had to create for a class. Now, we only had a week to do each one because we had learned about what our requirements are for the idea and what things he does not want to see just a week before we'd be starting our presentations. And sometimes, you'd have a lot of time to figure that out anyway. You'd have some ideas beforehand, but a lot of times, especially at the beginning of the class, we weren't sure what to expect, and I decided not being ambitious would be the best approach. So I created a bunch of knockoffs and so on. Sometimes this worked out well, sometimes this had not, but it gave me a really quick way of getting started on a game and having a solid idea of what I wanted without having to guess about what kind of game system I wanted or think about a concept too much. It actually takes a lot of time to develop the ideas behind something and make sure it works when I can, for the purposes of this class, just easily throw something together. It's also taking one very hard class at the exact same time. So, all the more reason not to stress myself. So I think this was the second one I worked on. This is based on a clone of an old Mac version of Break It and so on. I called it Smash Through. Very simple idea. You have a little pad here. You have little power-ups, and I created a bunch of different blocks from graphics I found online. Now, there we go. So one of the basic problems that people had a lot of trouble with this was getting things working. Now, if you see here, I had things just bounce based on their angle of the board a little. I had a little trouble with the reflection, but I had a mostly very unbuggy system for the most part because I had low expectations of what could happen. A lot of bugs people have with things like positioning and collision, especially for something like this, have to do with they take math or something from online. They don't really look at the formula and they don't really understand what can go wrong with it. So what a lot of people did for this class was they would, when the ball hit the pad, they would reverse the y-axis for the impact. These are little power-ups, and this is the sticky power-up here, as well as an extender, which was red. Which was another thing from that game that I liked a lot, was the little power-ups you could pick up. But yeah, they would just flip the velocity, and then they wouldn't understand why sometimes the ball would just pass through their pad, and the idea was it was actually, when the collisions were occurring, the basic problem. What did these ones do? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, the ball splitters. Oh, this is gonna get really silly. Holy crap. No! So you'd only lose a life when you ran out of balls in this, so that's how the ball splitters were advantageous. Anyway, so yeah, their pad, the little thing here, would collide against the ball, but the ball would continue in it, because then with the next collision, the ball collision occurred deep enough in the pad that it wouldn't escape it with its next movement. Damn it, this is hard. No! Mouse pad's going out of the window, or the mouse. Anyway, so yes, the ball wouldn't go out of the pad in time, and so the velocity would reverse again and would go a little bit more in, and depending on how the actual timing went in between each cycle, it would actually descend further and further into it instead of going out. So one of the things you wanted to do, if you were thinking about it, was make sure that you were considering where the ball was. Wow, I had the timer on that power up really long. Where the ball was in when the collision happens, you would look at where the collision happened relative to the center of the pad. And if you did that, you could force the velocity of the ball to change based on which side, which part of the pad it had touched. And instead of just flipping it or reversing it, you would be just providing an absolute little thing. Now, another thing you would notice is I actually had, even if you hit the ball in the corner, instead of having it suddenly reflect outwards or something like that, you would actually move the pad if you wanted the ball to move a particular way. That's mostly what I had to say about this. I was pretty happy with my collision approach. Pardon my language. I have to edit this or something. Damn it. I was really happy with how the collision went. I was really happy with my strategy of just taking ideas, especially if they were things that were kind of a play off of existing things, and just being familiar with how your basic vector math works. This was actually a lot easier in a lot of ways than the last project, because I considered just little cases and little problems like that. And I definitely kind of took the time to get the ball math done first. And if you have an area that you can do very simply, it's always best to start that early. So the more testing you do, the more chances you have of finding bugs related to that. And I did run into a few errors, and I did fix most of them. There's an interesting error that happens, as you can see. If you touch the side of the pad, it just passes through. I didn't complete all my collisions there, I think, and I might have borked something up or forgot to put something in. And I hope this was interesting. It was a very simple little demo. There's only one level to it. The main objective is just to break all the breakable bricks into. Getting rid of these two is the hardest part. It's also a good point to introduce the way my my little video program handles clicking. I can't see them, but there should be little green swirls coming off whenever I click. So that isn't part of the game. That's just part of my program. That, I believe, is it. I hope this was interesting.